Mitchell Port Unleashed podcast. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I feel it's gonna be one of these conversations of just growth and healing and all that good stuff, my friend.
Mm,
Yeah,
all important in life.
of course. So mellow. You're so mellow. You brings this calm warmth into the in the building and stuff like that. Let's talk about healing for you. When did that start? What was that journey? What did it look like?
I could look back to a moment when I was young. My father passed when I was 14 in front of me, and it was hard, but that was one of the first experiences I found that I looked at it in a positive light. As negative as it was, I looked at the influence he had on the community, the turnout at his funeral, and how much it meant to others to have him in their presence. And that was a moment where I looked to try and be as generous to others as I could be, and as supportive as I could be to others. And I ended up getting to this point in life where I live a carefree life, but try to be in service as much as I can be.
Define carefree, because I think like with the audience, they hear that they're like, "Are you out here just going crazy, living your life, you're
Yeah.
partying, you're doing all that? Like, what does that mean? Let's talk
Carefree
about it."
can be, at points in my life, it was not healthy. Carefree for a long time actually led to me getting into hard drugs and alcohol and living a YOLO lifestyle, and was a dark, long path, but it was a path I needed to take to get to the point where now I look at life in a carefree way as nothing's worth stressing over, and I'm now able to be present in the moment and to be clear-minded to allow ideas and creative flows to come through me and be able to bring things to life that then influence people positively.
I like that. I like that. So what I'm hearing is a lot of just self accountability, a lot of growth, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of all of that good stuff. So you speak to the passing of your father, right? At that age, at that time, it happens. Now, how do you take those memories from that and build into the man that you are today?
I remember how what he left me with, and it was skills, a lot of skills. He pushed me through hockey. I became a good hockey player in that way. I hated the things he pushed me through, like early mornings, and now I get up early and I feel good getting up. And he also pushed me to learn skills in the shop. He was a truck driver, and he always gave me tasks to assemble things at a very young age. So I became handy with my hands and able to problem solve. And I also had this outlet to be able to create on my own. So he was always giving me ideas of like things to weld, and I would weld up things for him. And so at a very young age, I was blessed with those opportunities. And then he passed young, and at the time when he passed, I hated him. I was in the young, rebellious teenage stage, and then I look back now when I'm in an adult state, and I'm very, very grateful for the opportunities he gave me in the short life that he lived with me.
I love that. So now you're this man, you're into holistics, you're into nature. I see you out here doing what was it, mountain climbers in the sand and all this. I'm like, this man's just trooping away and things like that.
Hmm.
So what does that mean for you, and why take that journey and take that path?
So I had a path, like I mentioned, that was dark for a while, which did not involve many healthy habits. And that was tough in itself to try to break all of these toxic habits and realize that I needed to incorporate healthy things into my life if I wanted to be the man I knew I was meant to be. And it got to a point where I crashed mentally, and I took a lot of time off. And in that time off, I actually connected with food very powerfully.
Okay.
And I never realized how important food was in my life, and then everyone else's, once I dove into it deeper. And I saw our disconnection from food, our disconnection then from land, and in whole, the disconnection from community. And so I then began to heal myself through food and started to see how many systems were broken surrounding food. And I focused on how to educate others in the space in that world, and come from a world where I had no experience in it, just someone that was completely transformed from it. And now I live a healthy lifestyle, um, but I give back as much as I can to nature as well, and to community.
Yo, guys, what's going on? I appreciate you. Thank you. Turn on all bell notifications, subscribe, like, and comment to the podcast. It's the best way to stay up to date. And hey, it helps us gain the clarity and boost ourselves into that algorithm. We appreciate the support each and every day, each and every week. Let's keep on going to keep on growing. Peace. So, when you speak about food, are you speaking like you eat certain things just to help the audience understand this a little bit more?
Yeah, I transitioned in different. I tried a lot of things. Like we don't often know unless we go and get studied to see what our levels are to find out what's best for us diet wise. And I tried different diets. I tried like keto. I tried vegan. I didn't. I found ways that I felt good in those, but I didn't feel truly powerful. I'm honestly now pretty much carnivore, and that's my optimal diet. I'm pretty content with it.
I love that.
Yeah.
You like a good steak.
I eat a lot of steak.
Nothing wrong with that.
I eat a lot of beef. Steak, yeah, steak is a good one, but
Of course.
yeah.
How you like your steak though?
Medium rare, depends.
Okay.
Yeah, rare to medium rare.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if we can eat steak together though.
Okay.
I'm like a medium well.
Yeah.
You know, all that blood and stuff like that. I don't know if I'm dealing with that too much, you know. Might pass out at the table, you know.
Okay. I'll take that from you then.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. So the carnivore, so you're carnivore, you eating a lot of meat.
Mm-hmm.
Speak to the benefits of that, because I think there's a misconception out there. Mm-hmm. Some folks are like, I want to do keto. Some folks want to talk about vegetarian. Some folks are talking about, you know, whatever. But speak about that, eating meat there.
When I was trying out the diets, a lot of times it was based on what the public's eye was of the diets. So people were turned away from meat. And I looked into even that and why. And they look at animals as toxic for environments. And then I understood how regenerative farming works. And it was key to have animals on land. So I started to see how it's important in our food system to have animals, and we can give animals a healthy life and be able to become healthy because of their life. And so I transitioned out of veganism and into carnivore, and I source my meat from local farms that have very ethical practices. Like I visited the farms, and I've seen like animals that live inside of homes that are more sad and almost contained than these animals are, living free in their herd, healthy, no shots, nothing sprayed, cleaner than sometimes even cleaner than me. Like they drink fresh water. I drink water out of my tap, unfortunately, sometimes, and it's something that we should look at as an integral part of our health, is how we treat land. And so having these landscapes that treat animals well, and in return, they fuel us.
Yeah. But I feel like now I'm not saying I'm going to bite back here, but I think some of the folks look at it as, but we have to deal with this ever growing world that we're seeing, multiplication of people and all this. And it's like, we know that the food source may not be the very best, but we have to, as you said it, make sure you source the right food products, and it's the grass-fed or grain-fed or whatever, because there's so much pollution out there. And what you put in your body is going to make you feel sick. You know what I mean? Like, we all have cheat days. Like, bro, I eat pizza. Like, come on now. Pizza's my
thing.
You know what I mean? I love pizza, you know, and whatnot. But, you know, a couple burgers here and there. But, you know, I don't let it overconsume and whatnot. So what's your cheat?
So I look at it as what percentage is what I focus on for discipline, and it's about 95% is strict discipline diet, and then 5% I eat whatever. Like I'll eat ice cream, pizza.
Okay.
Pizza and ice cream are good for me to.
So you go pizza, then the ice cream, and the pizza.
Pizza, then ice cream. For
this
sure.
guy. Okay. What do you do on your pizza?
Pineapple and pepperoni.
Jesus, Murphy. He's going to already start with the clickbait. Oh, Lord. Why pineapples? Fruit
fire.
does not belong on pizza.
Oh, you haven't tried it, though, have you?
I've tried it, but it does not belong on pizza.
Have you tried it with ham?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Pineapples don't belong.
Better. Pepperoni, pineapple.
Pineapples don't belong on pizza.
Try it.
This
It'll
guy
change you.
Looking in the camera says, try it. It's going to change you. Wow.
95% steak, 5% pineapple on pizza.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's your motto. You're sticking with that one.
Yeah.
I like that.
You got to have a balance, right?
Yeah.
And everything's got to be balanced. When you're strict with a diet, like I went strict with diets and then I fell off wagons. So you have to find a balance that works for you. And even with workouts, it was the same. Like if you're strict and do like a 120-day hard challenge, a lot of times people fall off that. And sometimes it can even be worse. and they have this new mentality where they can just release, they reward themselves from a 120-day diet. But it's, yeah, 95%. 95% strict. Same with workouts. I'll take a day off of working out if I feel like my body needs it. I become aware of a bit of discomfort somewhere and understand that my body needs rest.
I like that. What's your favorite way to work out?
I mix it up. I try to stay diverse with that. I have 3 days a week strength training, and then I have a boxing training with a professional coach, and then I do a yoga with another trained coach, and then I go and do 2 home boxing workouts, cardio strictly, and it keeps me well-rounded. And it's developing a new skill too. I find I used to play hockey, or I still play hockey, but I used to play it aggressively, and it brought out a lot of anger in me. And so I then now focused on that into boxing. It's a new skill that is also a useless skill or a useful skill out in the real world too.
Mm-hmm. So you're gonna like take maybe a fight somewhere down the road?
I'm looking at next year joining this organization that does fight to end homelessness.
Let's go.
Yeah. I
Let's
talked
go.
to someone on Friday about it, and they want to sponsor. So
yeah,
I'll be probably training. I'll be 2 years into boxing training, fighting my
next
first
year
training.
You know, I did that, right?
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it though. It's off the record.
Well, hey, you gotta have to come and support me next Christmas then.
You already know I'm there. Come on now.
All right, let's do
this
it.
This is going to be evergreen relationship here. Cause I've seen you out and about and whatnot. We've had conversations.
More and more.
Yeah, I think. Listen, man. I don't know who's going to want to box you. You're a big guy, man. I don't know if I'll spar you. You know.
Yeah.
Big boy.
I'm peaceful in the ring.
You're peaceful in the ring?
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
If you land, when you land, it could be game over, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
If you hit me, I understand. I won't take it.
Part of life,
I won't take
right?
it personally.
What did Sylvester Stallone say? It's about how many times you get hit. That's when you get back up.
Yeah.
You know, I like that. So speaking to the inner groundness of you, right? Because you're a very grounded individual. Like anytime I've seen you out and about networking events, the one that we were at, you're very grounded with self, right? When did that start? Speak to the audience of how that is.
I guess when I had that break, when I mentioned that I quit my job and took time off, that was when I was consumed by work, side work, and the chaos of social media. My mind was just racing nonstop, and I was so divisive. And when I took that break away, I now didn't have work. All I had was this racing mind that I had to deal with. And so I realized that was something that I never realized was important in life, was having a calm mind. So I focused on bringing in techniques like breath work to calm my mind, clear it, and see what doesn't serve me, allow it to drift out. And it became to this point where I practiced it so often that it was just who I was. So now my mind's always clear. Sometimes I'll have thoughts that will come in, like some worries, but I have this power to just let them drift. And that allows me to just be present. So sitting here, I'm staring at you, having a conversation with you, and I have no idea what's going on outside of this room. It doesn't matter.
Locked in. That's the same way too with the podcast. A lot of folks don't know this. Like, I'm not here with no script. I'm looking in the camera, no script, no nothing. You notice, like, there's nothing around. It's just a high engaging conversation because it's called doing the research. I was talking to somebody on the phone prior to doing this, and she's over in the New York area. And I said, she's like, yo, how do you prepare for your interviews? I said, 9 times out of 10, I have my talking points, but they're all up here because it's about studying the person. A lot of folks don't know that. It comes from the area like Michael Jordan and them, you know, Kobe and all them. Always just watch how folks are moving. Look at their social media, and you can pick up on little tidbits before, you know. It's the reason why I take the train and the commute. Because that's what I do. I study. I just, okay, that's there, you know. I love that.
I'm excited to hear what you found on my page.
Oh, that I found on your page? Nothing incriminating except for pineapples on pizza. That's just about it. That would be an inside joke. I'm going to run that on the Instagram stories. Did you know he likes pineapples on pizza? Go get him. I love you, right? So you speak to, prior recording this, you said 4 pillars. The 4 pillars of, speak to that again.
They're the core pillars that I've found that transform my overall health.
Okay.
And they would be breath and becoming aware of these pillars and how they impact you. So breath is powerful in many ways, can energize and can calm when needed if you utilize it as a tool. Nourishment. So that can mean physical nourishment through food and trying to eliminate the toxicity in what you eat, but as well as the mental nourishment. So what you put in your mind through environments, whether it's socializing or through digital interactions. And then we have movement and stillness. So movement is key, keeping our bodies moving. We are beings of creation and energy, and we need to continue to move. If we don't, we just become stagnant. And then stillness, that's a tough one because we all have moments, I'm sure, where we're sitting there and we're bored in ways, and we go to our phones right away. It's very hard for us to say that we could sit on a chair and stare at a wall for 5 hours and not lose our mind. But if you can sit there in stillness and understand how to utilize boredom in a creative way, you'd be surprised what kind of either memories can come up or creative ideas, maybe even passions and interests that you really had a deep connection to as, say, a child, and you don't anymore. And that's where, if you look back into childhood, a lot of the times when our imagination flourished was when we were completely bored and we had nothing to do. And our minds weren't consumed by worry of jobs and all these things that we do now have. And it allowed me to come up with these unique passion projects that can transform people's lives in powerful ways. So stillness is a powerful tool if utilized well.
And that's, I think, the biggest one that I would want to focus on. What is stillness? Because you're right. We're so prone to pick up our phone and like see what's going on Instagram or check that email or TikTok or whatever else or YouTube and things like that. And I don't think we practice what that stillness is. You know what I mean? I tried now, like my hardest, that morning coffee is like my sanctuary. I do the instant coffee. Don't come for me, folks. I do the instant coffee. That's just what works for me.
Pizza is terrible.
Oh yeah, well, don't worry. You got me on something, right? But I do the instant coffee, and I try to just sit there without touching my phone. Right? There's some days, you know what? You got to look at your phone and get caught up, see what's going on. But there's times where I just keep the phone like right beside the chair. I'm drinking my coffee, and I'm just taking everything in. You know, because what you have to do is just know how you want to set the intention for your day. And I've had a lot of conversations with high business achievers or high performance coaches that say the exact same thing. Sometimes they're fortunate because, you know, we're in Canada, like we can't just go outside like when it's freezing cold outside and it's winter and, you know, we got to bundle up. You know what I mean? But if you're on like Miami or California, you can just go outside and just do whatever you want to do. You have that warm weather all year round with a little bit of rain. But it's like we don't have that stillness that y'all can do. You know what I mean? So I really want to focus on the men here. Speak to the men, how they can get more stillness with a lot of the distractions that are out there.
The one part that I found was tough with men, the normalized environments that we've been putting ourselves in, that our society has been showing us is the way is drinking environments and sports environments, which consume almost all spare time in some people's lives. And it for me did when I didn't have much spare time. So I ended up I pushed sleep as a least priority to bring in the social stuff outside of a busy schedule. And so it's tough to have this connection to a community and to then separate yourself from it, and because that's maybe the only time you have. And you may have some dark things come up because a lot of times I look back and the reason why I was putting myself in situations and in these communities is because I was sad, and in other ways I didn't approach the death of my father and how it was influencing me. But taking time away from maybe some of these distractive communities or habits, like fully involved in every single sports team that has an event on, because it's every night and
It's every night.
and that's great, but it wasn't fulfilling me. It did nothing. I wasn't creating anything in life that meant anything to me. I just found I was expressing emotion through sports, but not true emotions that maybe I was feeling deep down. It was like a hatred for a team or hatred for my own team that lost, and it was something that I don't really watch sports too much, but I enjoy all of these other activities that feel like they bring true life into my existence.
I like that. So because I feel like you're a man's man. I'm a man's man, right? And things like that. And there's a lot of society pressures that we got to deal with. We know it. It's just how it is, right? And I think one of the things I really wanted to get into is what's a true art form of masculinity for you? You know what I mean? Because like it's portrayed in such a way where it's not safe. But I see you out, I see myself out, and we're safe, but we are still in our masculine frame. And what I want this to be is a teaching and a learning lesson for young men, or even men that are in our age groups, to understand what that truly means, to be centered with that.
I found that when I started to align with creative ideas, it was around providing and protecting, and it was for my future family. As a man, we once we go from being a boy to a man, that's when we become responsible in terms of protection and providing, and that can mean a lot of things. It could mean financially, it could mean emotionally for your loved one or for your kids, but a lot of men I see don't have maybe that transition from boyhood to manhood, and they don't see the importance of becoming a strong, resilient individual for others. And it could be to provide for community. It doesn't have to be for a family that you have at that moment, but someday there will be a family in your life. And I don't have kids yet, and everything I do is for my future family and even for the community that I'm surrounded with.
I love that. I love that you say that. That's the best way to dress that up, because how social media, these talking points and these TikToks that are out there, how they explain masculinity, it's like it's a toxic situation. But that's the thing, is that you're talking to, or you're hearing points from guys that are in the podcasting space that, how do I say this? They're saying things that are performative to create a shock and awe reaction, like a knee-jerk reaction. Anybody can do it, right? Like we could have flipped pineapples and pizza and instant coffee and do it, and then be a whole performative situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you get up, you walk away, I get up, walk away, and then bam. That's how you do it, right? But it's like when I hear masculinity, it's like being safe within, being grounded within. You speak about community, and I think that's the most important thing. A lot of folks don't know that. And community is all we have. How are you respected in your community? When you go into these networking events, how do people greet you? When people see you, it's like, that's Roy, that's Arron. Those are two guys in their spaces doing what it is they want to do, right? And you don't hear the other BS. You don't hear the bullshit of like, oh, well, you know, that Rory guy can't be trusted. You see him out there, he's doing his thing. You know, it's just, it's warm, it's welcoming, and that's what it is. That's the personality. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and for a long time, I always knew I wanted to surround myself with community, and I knew that was a big motive for my future, was to have family someday, as I was very family oriented with my father. And I surrounded myself with people, but not in healthy ways. And now I got to a point where I started to realize that providing to land can then provide to community in such a powerful way, and even more than I ever could imagine. So like we have this large garden that we almost, like, now that I'm carnivore, we just donate to the community members, and then we inspire people through our social media page of what we're building for others and to teach others. And that platform, Instagram, can be a tool, and we started to use it as a tool. And back when I had my break, it used me as a tool, and I was consumed by it and divided by it. And so when I came back, I wanted to make sure we used Instagram as a means to build community and support community, and as an individual, take action to build things that would, again, provide for community. So our garden is one of many projects, but it's my way of being able to provide without having that family yet, other than my beautiful wife that I love dearly.
I love how you just slide that in there. She's like, you better be talking about me. No, it's all good. You know, I love what you said there. Right, I don't want folks to miss that. Being consumed by social media. But now, say that part again. I don't want to butcher what you said. You said being consumed by social media, but now you use social media to consume the bit.
Social media is a tool, but at one point it used me as a tool.
Yeah. And then now you use the business.
It just consumed my attention.
Yeah.
And I use it now to display what I'm building to help others.
It was beautiful.
And if people follow our page, it's strictly inspirational things. It's not something that you're going to see and you're going to have this divisive mindset around. We see that there's too much of that out there. Our page is just strictly optimism.
You can see it.
And we have we have beliefs, but we leave it off. And I know like it's unfortunate that that's the stuff that draws attention a lot of times, but then we also realize that like entertaining in an educational way is our trick that we're going to focus on.
Only the real, and it's like every podcast I get into, I can tell you how I can already know how the conversation is going to go and how the audience is going to perceive it. Because you look at your metrics and you look at a conversation like this, and I will say this, when I look at the followings and stuff like that, it's not even about that, but majority of them will listen, but they won't be intentional with the listening. They'll be like, oh, there's two guys just talking. They're good. Oh, whatever. But how are you going to implement what's being said here? That center of groundness, that center of like male leadership. You can have a little bit of domination, a little assertiveness. We have to have it. This is how it is.
Yeah.
It's the joys of the world, you know what I mean? But it's like, how are you taking what you're listening today and applying it to your life?
It's tough too, because like when I had everything wrong in my life, for the most part, I had to break all those habits and develop all these good habits. And that takes time. It took me 4 years to get to where I am from where I was. And I look at it as a metaphor of looking at a landscape that's slightly destroyed and clearing it as a clear canvas and having a bunch of seeds that you'd want to nourish. And they could be like physical health, your diet, all of these things, mental health, and you plant one and you nourish it and you make sure it has everything it needs. And once it becomes a strong rooted tree, you then can go to the other seeds and start working on them. But as the forest grows, the forest supports. So it gets easier, but it's tough to look at that destroyed landscape and have all these big aspirations, and you just work one seed at a time.
How do you feel about the overuse of the cold plunge? Because now I feel like it's like everything is a fad. Podcasting could be a fad because you have some new folks that are coming into the space. They do like 10 episodes and that is it. And it's like, well, what did you do it for?
Yeah.
Cold plunging now. I feel like everybody's cold plunging just to cold plunge, but they don't know the benefits of cold plunging. Cold showers. Oh, I took a cold shower today. But what's the benefit? Are you just doing it because it's the fad? It's the in thing? You know what I mean? So speak to that.
So I got into cold plunges, and it was a tool at first that I used for actually healing pain through not emotional pain, but physical pain. Because I was recovering from an imbalance in my body from having a knee break in grade 9 and never realizing that I was favoring a side, and it really shifted every part of me. And bringing balance back started to bring pain in different points like hips, and then playing hockey aggressively, I had to use cold therapy to recover, to be able to continue to train and to optimize my overall health. But then when I was doing it, I started to realize like it was a heightened state at first, and I would go in for such a duration that I had to endure in some way. And that was when I started to realize I focused on breath, and it helped my mind become clear. And that was a tool then that I passed on into my everyday. So I'm not in a cold plunge now, but if I find I'm in this heightened state or my mind's racing, I use breath to calm. So cold plunge is an experience that you can just jump into, and now you're forced to use your breath to calm your mind because your mind's telling you to get out. And so it can build resilience in that way, but it's not to be a tool to always need the cold plunge to calm your mind. It's a practice to then incorporate into your life.
Love that you say that. I remember one of the things is being on your feet all day. One of the things I did is I get the bucket of ice with cold water, put your feet in there. That's the closest thing I've gotten to a cold plunge. I can probably most likely do it, but folks don't even know. Just putting your feet in there for like 15 fucking minutes is game over, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're like, your body changing. You got to cool everything down because you're like, but then you just got to just let it go. You know what I mean?
It's tough too because your body's warm outside.
You know what I mean?
Your feet know that there's warmth there.
Right? That's wild.
To get me out.
No. So do you ever do those winter time when they go run into like the beach fronts?
Oh,
into
yeah.
the water and stuff?
Yeah. That's actually my favorite. I'd rather do that over cold plunge in a tank. I'm from Grand Bend, and so there's the Lake Hurons there, and luckily, well, in some ways, luckily now it doesn't freeze over. So every time I visit my mom, I have a very, very cold winter lake to jump into.
Damn.
Sometimes it's very cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I'm actually going to do it in Christmas. If you want to come, you're welcome to join.
Go up there and do that?
Come
Go
and
put
jump in the
content
lake.
behind that?
We could
Might as
definitely
well.
do a little vlog.
That's going to be so freaking cold, man. That'd be cold, bro.
Hey, we could do it in Port Stanley. It's close by London.
Woo! It's going to be cold.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be cold. Like January cold? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, maybe our Inspiring Impact community that we're building, we'll do a little workshop where we go and take everyone to the lake, and you can join.
Let's talk about that. The
Yeah.
inspiring workshop there. Let's talk about that.
The
Want me to
Inspiring
start?
Impact?
Yeah, inspiring impact. Yeah.
So it was always something I wanted to do when I started to distance myself from the things that I wasn't aligned to anymore, and I started to feel isolated, and I didn't have this community, and that's why I love going to these networking events that I've met you at many times. And these network events, there's still something missing. There wasn't enough value I found provided for me, or there was the connection where you'd meet new people, but there was no skills developing. There was no giving back. Like a lot of these were, if they were profitable, it was to the people that organized it. And I'm very focused on, if something brings value to people, it should be even beyond that community. And so this Inspiring Impact, we're building it out to be, we'll collaborate with many organizations per event, and we'll be able to raise enough money and funds to actually provide for certain either charities or organizations locally that are doing good work in, say, agricultural development for low-income needs or affordable housing. Those are two big ones that we align with strongly. But it's something that I always wanted, and sometimes I'm the type of person that I've noticed that if it's not out there, I'll just build it, and there'll be more people that are interested. And we're finding that quickly that we're having a lot of people join. So yeah,
it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
I like this. What you bring into the city, yeah?
Yeah, London needs something. It has a lot of these little communities that we found. We connected through our Eco Living Instagram page, and all of these people mean well, and they have skills to pass on. They have things they want to learn. They have the intention on giving back to community, and that's where we're just going to create that environment so they can learn, they can pass on their knowledge, and they can be able to give back all in one, while connecting in a networking environment.
I love that. I love that. So you're saying January, this is going to be...
We're doing meetups actually every 2 or 3 Sundays, and they're private, and we have member-led workshops. So the next one we have is actually, we're focusing on like AI prompting and how to utilize it for all types of business, and even personal research and growth.
Okay.
And it's a member-led. One of the members is a software engineer, so he's gonna teach us how to optimize that. And I look at, even in the future, I like to point hack with credit cards, so I want to teach people how they can use their everyday spending to optimize potential travel.
Okay, you gotta speak about this. The little tidbit. Give us a little tidbit on that.
I got lots of tidbits, but yeah, the point hacking is, say if you knew you could spend $5,000 in, say, 6 months on your credit card. There's a credit card that you could then apply to, and if you spend $5,000 in 6 months, you get this massive reward bonus, plus you hit their second tier. And for example, like RBC has one out currently that if you spend $5,000 in 6 months, you get about 105,000 Avion points, which equates to $1,080 in value. And a lot of people see it as like, I have $120 annual fee. First year's waived, so second year you have to have it. So you spend $120 your second year, and you spend your normal amount on a credit card, and you get $1,000 towards travel. And then once you hit your 5K in 6 months, you put that credit card away, you don't use it again. Then you get another one, and that's hacking. I have like probably 12 black cards that I just have hacked.
Just chilling.
But they've accumulated me a ton of points, and I travel with them.
Okay, smart man.
Yeah,
that's value right there, ladies and gentlemen. You better just get into all that value.
Yeah.
Okay. So were you planning on taking like your travels? Are you looking to go? Is there a place that you want to visit right now in the world?
Well, my wife is from Nova Scotia, so we visit there and visit family often out there. And a lot of the travel I look to enjoy in my life is actually more educational than experiential. And it's experiential in its own way, but I look forward to traveling to learn about farming practices or community building in other nations and places in the world that I can then maybe implement into the projects that we're working on here in Southwestern Ontario.
Okay. So, nature. With what you're doing with that Instagram page, right? What is your overall outside of community? Like, what is it you're wanting to really have the audience take from? Because they see all the greenery, they see all the plants, right? I don't know if you post the workout stuff, or that's on your main page.
That's more my main page.
Your main page, yeah.
And I also, I don't post as much as I'd like to, but then it means I'm also off the platform. So there's this. I'm trying to find.
I'd love to see your Instagram. I'd love to see your Instagram watch time.
Oh,
it's probably low.
It's low. It's
low.
Usually just research for say like our eco living page.
Okay.
But when it comes to, sorry, what were you were inquiring about again?
So more like, what do you want folks to take from the actual page when they see all the greenery and things like that?
Okay, so we're looking at it as an inspirational page showing people what we've created in such a short time with little knowledge and just in like the intention behind it. And we have other projects that are evolving from what we've been showcasing. So that property that you've seen the garden on is 1/8 of an acre in the city, and that's all we had to work with. And we transformed it into this vibrant landscape. Like you've seen maybe the market garden that what we do is we grow food. We initially were growing food for ourselves, and then I stopped maybe eating a lot of the veggies. My wife still does, but the model we created was we eat food from it. We also grow so much that nature eats from it. So we have like critters and animals and like squirrels that live back there, and we enjoy seeing them. And then all the access we donate to community members, so they get to come out. We have like a wife and their daughter will come out, and the kid will now be able to pick maybe the greens for their family salad, and then they donate based on what they can give, and then that donation we give to food bank. So we're able to provide for like 4 different levels of community members through one garden. And that's just the one part of our project. We have 250 fruit and nut trees and shrubs throughout that whole property that we've planted in a very intentional design that naturally irrigates. And the idea is we've been benefiting from like raspberries, but there's a lot of plants there we may not even benefit from. If we end up selling it, I'm hoping someone keeps it, but we're building for generations in the future. And it's beautiful to see this year after year grow more and more. But there's going to be a point in 5 years when a family will be able to provide all of their fruit from this land. And in about 10 years, someone could probably provide their own income off of the land from fruit within the city.
I like that.
And that can never happen if we don't do something now. And I'm doing it because I'm understanding how to transform land to become highly productive in a very dense way. And I got so much from that. Now we're maybe going to enjoy some of the fruit in the future, but if we don't, I'm also going to know that someone else is. So that's also beautiful.
What's your favorite type of fruit?
Pineapple. I do like pineapple, but I can't grow it here.
Yeah, just name the title of the episode. I just call it pineapples now.
I think probably one of my favorites, honestly, pears. I like pears.
Okay.
Yeah, and I try to eat what we can access here, because then I know eventually I'll be able to grow everything I can eat.
For sure.
So pears is one, even though I didn't plant any pears at this property, but we have plums. We have a lot of cool stuff on the land.
That's good.
And there's some unique fruit that we have that you've maybe not even ever seen, like elderberries and chokeberries, and they're very unique flavors. Some of them are very tart, but it's all local.
Those are superfoods, though, no?
They are.
Yeah.
High in antioxidants, and
there you go. Right.
They're good in different dishes. Like you can even put some on your carnivore dishes and
really. That's what you
flavor.
do.
Yeah.
You probably whip up some nice sauces with them. And
elderberries good on like chicken. Yeah.
Okay. Look at this guy. You're gonna have to type with a recipe for me or something like that.
Yeah, we're actually we have so many projects on the go too that I've become so busy that I love cooking, but I also have these projects I want to focus on. So we have a personal chef now that meal preps all of my carnivore dishes.
Okay.
And she's very good too. So she does very exquisite dishes. So
okay.
I haven't introduced her to the elderberries yet. I'll get her to add those to them.
Now, do you do that because to maximize your time? Because I know that a lot of creators I know a lot of coaches, they've went that route where they have someone that's going to come in and clean their house, do their laundry, make their food, so they can really focus on the things that they focus on. Is that the main reason why?
100%.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, I look at it as there's like my dishes are pretty much routinely now. Like my wife and I had this strict diet that was just pretty, it's in a way boring to some people, but it's optimizing for our health. And now I just have delegated that. So one day every 2 weeks, I have a chef come in for 5 hours and they make 20 or 28 meals for me and 28 breakfast meals for me. And I have my 2 weeks of meals. And now I can focus on the things that actually create value in my life and others. So there's lots of projects that are on the go. And that's the idea is I would never be able to build out any of these if I was focused on having a busy mind or having to make my meals when I have like small windows of time. When I have an hour, my hour is optimized for some type of project growth. Or it can be just sitting and playing with my cat. I love just enjoying the present moment. So if my cat's trying to attack me, I'll just attack him and have a good time and laugh with it, right? I'm not too stressed. I'm not too like stressed in that way either. Like if I'm taking a little bit away from something or I enjoy a little time with my wife and it takes away from a business. But if I have all these other things optimized in my routine, I have leeway.
You're speaking to productivity. I like that because I hear a lot of coaches speak about that, like I just mentioned, being productive with your time. So it's like even with podcasting, eventually it's going to get to the point where I just show up and then you have your editors and then everything else is just when you start implementing the right team, because then you think about it, you can like do what it is you need to do, connect who you need to get to. You know, if you're in a relationship, if you're married, you spend more time together. So it's not like, yo, I got to be like doing the content thing, I do this editing when it could be potentially date night. You know what I mean? Oh, you haven't seen me for like 2 weeks because I've just been locked in. Now it's like maybe we turn that 2 weeks into a 1 week travel somewhere. You know what I mean? And things like that.
And being a creator too, it's not all about you. You want to create with others. You want to collaborate. And like you give opportunities for people to come in and do audio, video editing. And so with my projects, like even having a personal chef come in, she's thrilled to have this unique carnivore diet that she's never had to make. And so she gets to even widen her range of opportunities for her future clients. And I now promote what I have. And I have other high performers that are like, I want carnivore meal prep done for me. I'm like, well, I can line that up for you. You
could do it up in a vlog too, my friend.
And so now we have other people coming into our lives in collaborative ways that, like all these other projects like Inspiring Impact, that community development. I had friends that wanted to build something, and I said, hey, I have the network and I have the ideas, a lot of the ideas, and I'd be able to bring the people together to have these discussions, but I need a little bit of help on the administrative side to build out the community. And that's happening. So it gives them something that they've been always wanting, this community that's been missing. And I bring in the pieces of the networking and the in-person discussion, because it is hard sometimes to speak in front of a group of people.
For sure.
But yeah, find what your value is and what you can bring to the world. And then if there's something missing, find someone that has that fire.
How do you determine your value? I feel like you've already answered it, but like, let's go beyond that.
The value that I see I can provide in a unique way that is my main focus, because I find it's something that I don't see often, is being able to provide inspiration to others and education in the ways of nature and how to appreciate it. So one of our projects is the 1/8 of an acre homestead. But then there's this struggle. Like I have aspirations to be a first generation large scale farmer, but with no farming background and no farming family to pass on land. So a lot of time I spent understanding how to create this collaborative effect for that. So we actually found a farm, 210 acre. And they have no individuals that are interested in taking over the farm and the family. And I told them about my visions for a farm. And now we're actually looking at creating a partnership on ownership. So we get a stake in ownership of a 210 acre, and we get to invest our time and effort into this, build out a thriving ecosystem. And then that is now a blueprint that can be taught to others. And again, so spreading inspiration through education based on nature.
I love that. When you speak about the beginning, you said about not allowing limited beliefs, let's just say that, into the mind when you're really focused. give us 2 ways you do that and how any man or woman could put that into principle.
You have to know that taking risks, you're going to get shut down a lot. And that can be with everything. Like you could want to work out aggressively and you go and work out and you start to feel pain and discomfort. It will come. You have to understand how to navigate it and how to be easy on yourself. But when you're wanting to build something out, say that's not known to the real world, or they don't see the value in it, but you feel very strongly about it, talk to everyone about it. Tell everybody your vision. Tell everyone what you want to do. You'll be surprised what connections come. Like I've told someone and then they're like, you have to talk to this person. Then I talk to that person. And then something powerful comes from that collaboration. And so I would have never been able to connect with that person if I didn't just speak to that other individual. And you're going to get turned down a lot. People are going to pick apart your ideas. And if you see that as even valuable, looking at, they're giving you feedback, even if it's very biased, it's still feedback and it might adjust your overall vision. But if you know this is going to change the world or bring value to your life, continue to focus on it, just refine it, and just find joy in it. I found joy in nature because it was something that I didn't have in my life prior, and sitting in nature peacefully in stillness is where I started to connect with like my childhood aspirations. And so I was able to now give back to nature in that way.
I love that. And I think like when you have these big creative ideas, a lot of folks don't understand what we have to go through. We have to blueprint it out. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of folks now see me with 2 phones. So when I'm doing content, it's 2 phones. I have my main phone and then I have my other phone, which is basically just shooting like behind the scenes stuff. Mm-hmm. And some folks go, why do you carry 2 phones? Because my main phone is like what I do everything on. But like if I need to edit, so say for instance, if I'm doing a commute, I can start doing a lot of my editing on the phone. So I don't want to do that on my main phone because why do I want to bog all my main phone up with all that, with all those apps? So it's like knowing the purpose when you do all of that. But then a lot of folks then look at it when it looks like we're creators, and they get confused because they're like, how do y'all just come up with all your ideas? Well, it's like, it's the time and the energy you put into the, you know what I mean? You got to put the time and energy in, you know, and always be a student of the game, learn, right? Because I think folks miss when you said is the Instagram you use as development, research. So it's being productive with your time, podcasting, editing, finding certain elements to add to these clips. It's all research. We all have the access to the same gifts, but nobody ever wants to go into like the behind the scenes, like the YouTube, the podcasting, Google. You know what I mean? Don't AI every single thing you see out there, ladies and gentlemen, because you're just going to be misleading going down the rabbit's hole and whatnot, you know?
And it's about awareness. Like when you become aware of what Instagram is doing to you, like when you become aware of the scrolling and how it's drawn you in and you are caught in it. If you become aware, even like I'll go on and there might be something I see and I'm like, oh, I'm interested, and I see something else and it's like, okay, I know what you're doing. I get away from it. It's the same with like even sugar. If you eat sugar, if you become aware of what that is doing to you and how it's making you crave more and more, that's just, that awareness is what can really change your trajectory as well, and how to utilize things like sugar. Like when I eat ice cream, I have a little treat and I enjoy it. I feel very hyper after it, but I'm not going back to the store to get more, or I get a portion that I'm content with instead of getting a massive tub, because I could dummy an entire tub if I really wanted to.
You're big guys.
That's right? That's my 5%. Just one big tub of ice cream.
I love it. So, do you drink at all?
I don't know. No. I have
noticed
occasionally.
That. Yeah.
But it was very apparent in my life for a long time, and I went like cold turkey, and then I come back. Like I found it. I almost looked at it as like a stock trend line. Like if I was trending in the right direction that I wanted to, even with little hiccups, that's all that mattered. And I now have gotten to this point of sobriety, and I'm content with that. And I have no problem with others drinking. And I go out and I see others drinking, and it doesn't faze me. I feel amazing the way I am, and that's good with me. And if others feel amazing doing that, that's good for them. It just isn't my spot anymore.
I love that you say that, because again, a lot of high performers don't drink. They don't touch no alcohol. Me, I use it more as a social outlet, but it's like 2 or 3 tops. And that doesn't matter. Like, it's just, I don't do the whole, like last night I had 3 glasses of wine. right? 3 little small glasses of wine. And it's like, yo, you want shots? I'm drinking wine. I'm not shots and wine. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta be at 5:45. No, just take one. I was like, peer pressure don't work with me.
Yeah.
And they just look at you like, who is this guy? Is he the oracle? It's like, you got to know your boundaries, you know, your non-negotiables.
Yeah, and if I have a drink, it'll likely be like a very nice red wine, and I'll have one glass, and it'll last me like 4 hours, and it just
For real,
I
just
sip
sip
it,
it.
enjoy it,
Yeah.
right? But like back when I used to drink, it was like Bush beer, chug as much as I could, and never even enjoying the actual drink itself or doing shots. Again, it's just you're chasing now the feeling, and you're not enjoying the actual beverage. And some beverages are delicious, and there are great non-alcoholic beverages that I found finally, and now those are what I take to parties and I enjoy. And I enjoy being hydrated. So if I go to the bar, I'll drink water, and
Nothing wrong with that.
and people don't question it now. It's tough at first if you do ever want to get into sobriety. You're gonna have to try and find ways to navigate your existing friend groups with it, whether it's hiding like water in in some kind of can and they think you're drinking, or you're gonna have to realize they're gonna probably peer pressure you because they don't understand why you're sober, and they may see it as judgment towards them. And to make sure that you aren't showing judgment towards them,
And that's the thing. Yep. And because people can be so vain, you know what I mean? It's like, why are you not drinking? It's like, because it's a personal choice. Like, why does it matter?
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, it should be nothing wrong with that. Like, if I want to go for dinner and you see me eating a salad, it's like, well, why are you not eating? It's like leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's tough. Like I've had times where I've in ways judged, and I didn't mean it for it to be judgmental.
Yeah.
I see people with potential, and I don't see them. I hate seeing people do harm to themselves, or to know where they want to go, and they're limiting themselves by something. And there's so many other factors, and they're on their path to resolve that. And so just having to understand that you're on your journey, just let other people go through theirs. And by being in a place where you feel healthy and good, if you continue to surround yourself with these people, you will be an inspiration. You will show them this new person you are, and they may be interested and intrigued and ask, but they may not, and that's all okay. You may drift away from old friends, but new friends will come.
You said something that made a lot of sense there. It's like ask the question. And I think that's the thing what a lot of us don't want to do, because we think we're being intrusive. Just ask the person, like, oh, I see you're not drinking. Is that what's the reason?
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised. People are gonna be like, if you frame it the right way and it doesn't come from a personal attack, the person's not gonna be like, yo, leave me alone. They're like, well, this is just my personal choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you see it happening. A lot of high achievers do not drink anymore. They used to live, they like to say, that degenerative lifestyle, the partying, the drugs, the drinking, but they don't do it no more. And you see, it's like a clean, sober living. But I'm always like, there's got to be some vice in there that you do.
Yeah.
There's got to be something, because you can't just be like clean slate. Like, it could be the ice cream. Maybe it's that bag of candy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that bag of chips. There's got to be a vice there.
It could be
what I
work.
mean? Yeah.
Work can be one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find like I enjoy, I dive into, I put a lot of my time into creating and just working on projects, and it may look like it's an addictive tendency to some, but I still have a focus on my health, my diet, my sleep, my relationships. I just have a lot of spare time to then put towards these things that weren't put towards now, like those old toxic addictive tendencies.
I love that. I love that. Before we get out of here, I always like to give this conversation here 1% better.
1% better.
What does that mean for you? And how do we become 1% better?
I would say getting comfortable with uncomfortableness. If you can realize that those situations that maybe make you cringe, they will likely be very powerful for your growth in some very minuscule way. And so it could be a cold plunge and then having that racing mind and calming it. It could be going into a social event when you're not a socializer and then being connected with someone that you align with. And you'd be surprised with how life can just flow you in the exact experience and moment that you need to be. And that's a big one too, is just surrendering to the flow. I'm sorry I'm giving you two, but surrender to the flow. I found when I was putting pressure on projects and things and I wanted like investments to come in, to like an investor to come into my life, to be able to bring a project to life. Nothing ever worked. And then I released, and then all of a sudden clarity came, and then creative ideas came to like structure ways to not need an investor, or having the right person come into my life that knows how to acquire funding, and all based on just surrendering. And you can't just completely surrender and expect everything to happen. There has to be a bit of push, but just don't be too hard on yourself, and life will magically align in the perfect way.
I love that, man. This man is so grounded, man. Oh man, I love that. Real quick before we get out of here, also too, the tattoos, because now I see them visibly. Every time I feel like I saw you, you rather than like I don't really paid attention. But speak to your tattoos real quick.
So my tattoos were parts in my life when I was feeling in pain, and I see that now more than ever. It's usually when I'm in a good place, I'm not craving tattoos. I've found. So I have a big one on my back, and I got it when I was 16. It has my dad's name on it.
Love that.
And then in my inner arm, or on my outer arm, I have a bull, and it says "The bull rides beside me," and my last name's Bullock, and so my dad and my nickname were Bull growing up. Inside arm is to the world you may be one person, but to one person you are the world. And it was for my mother, because she raised two little hoodlums with the we were rascals. And so then I have this, and this was like one of the last tattoos I had, and it was more so of there was a part of me that was very connected to a cat that I had come into my life when my father passed. And it was a time too when I was deep into drug use, and I found I felt I neglected the cat's health because of my addiction, and that really hit me hard. That I was putting my own desires before the health of the loved ones around me, and that was one of the big moments in my life when I clicked in that I needed to care for myself to be able to care for others.
I love that, man. Jeez. Plug all your social media. I'm going to say this, quick disclaimer. This is long overdue. I feel like it's been months. But just listening to you, you're just a breath of fresh air. And you have that inner groundedness that I love. You know what I mean? So keep doing what you're doing. Because the sky's the limit for you. Trust me. We're going to work on some things behind the scenes, though. Because
I love it. Yeah.
you need one of these now. I think you're ready. You're ready.
I am. Let's do it.
I'm not trying to push the podcast agenda on everyone, but it's a marketing tool, and there's a lot that's there. But go ahead, man. Plug your social media, my friend.
Well, if you want, you can check out my personal page, Arron.Jarrett.Bullock. Arron is the unique spelling, so you'll find it with that. And then our shared page with my wife and I, showing our inspirational projects, is Eco Living, EECOH.living.
My guy.
Yeah.
I love you, man.
We got more to come in the future, too, so stay tuned.
I'm ready. 2025, man.
Let's do it.
Let's go, my man.